let's go few years back and back to your high school time.
Okay.
You're coming out of your high school. Like, what was the thought process back then? Were you already confident that you are going to go into the gaming industry, or it happened eventually?
So my confidence about becoming a game developer actually started when I started playing Age of Empires 2. This is basically when I was 10 or 12 years old. By high school, I was very much confident because what I did is I started building games in Python by myself.
Okay.
And I also learned about Unity development and game design and arts from different courses on Coursera and Udemy. I did like 3 degrees, one from CalArts, one from Michigan State, from design, development, and arts. And I had also done an internship in parallel in the 3rd year of my college days as an intern, Unity developer intern, where I actually understood the gaming industry in India is very fresh, and this is a huge opportunity for people to actually build a company rather than actually go for a job, because there are no jobs that time. I would say 2012-13, there were a very few jobs, but only in real money gaming. But my scope of work was to go in more in building games which are more indie style, or at least mid-core or hardcore, and even casual, but high quality casual. And that mindset, I thought the best thing I can do right now is actually build my own gaming studio, even if it's like a 2-3 people studio, and start off from there. And that is what I actually did. I started as a solo indie developer for 3 to 4 years, and then quickly got funding for another company, then got funding from my gaming studio, and so on. And sooner or later made a 20 plus team of mobile gaming.
Okay, got it. So let's start with your like first that you mentioned about this internship, right? So how did you get the internship at that time, and what was the thought process like? Do you wanted to do internship in a specific role, or was it more like you wanted to go into like any company, or like what was the thought process at that time?
The company which I did internship was called 3 Interactive, THREUIE, and they were actually building a few games which were military-based games, and they had made a game called Switch or Die Trying. While the development of Switch was happening, I actually joined them, and I was given a few side tasks, but I actually enjoyed seeing the process of how game development is done. Before getting the internship, I was actually super excited that even I got into one. After doing a few months, 3 to 6 months of internship parallelly, I realized I really enjoyed game development, and this is like hooks and cooks for me, this indie development. Even if I felt it does not pay well or does not pay at all, to be very clear, I would love to continue building a career into it for the next 5 to 10 years and hustle my way around it. So my time, it was a very different industry. Right now, it's extremely well versed, I would say. It's like fast-paced growing industry. I think fintech has done great in India. Next thing is gaming.
Correct. Yep, understood. So the master's degree that you just mentioned and the other degrees, but like all of these were like you went to like out of India to do them, or were those virtual?
Online specializations. So they were not master's degree exactly, what you would call as postgrad. They were not postgrad, but they were online specializations. In my experience, I did bachelor's in computer science. I didn't learn too much, as every other engineer would say, but this specialization I learned like 10x fold than I actually imagined I would learn. And I was pretty happy with it. The way I learned how to program, design, and develop, and even understand different art pipelines actually helped me have a very good solo indie mindset in which I could understand what needs to be done where. Even if I need help, I knew exactly where I need help. So it just fast-paced my indie development. What would take me 2 to 3 years just to understand just happened in my college day itself. So I was very much prepared to start off after my college. Start off a game studio after my college.
Okay. And just trying to understand like why game studio, because at that time there were already a lot of paths that were predefined. Like people were doing good in web development. Android was becoming, I think it was already mainstream, right?
So you're completely right. So actually, if you go to my courseware, you will see at least 30 plus licenses and certifications. I never actually started game development first. If you go on my LinkedIn profile, you'll find like multiple courses. From body language to cybersecurity, to data analytics, to R programming, to basically web development and everything. And I literally explored my first 2 years in college and did everything. Then I realized out of all this junk, if I have to pick one thing, that is only game development, nothing more than that. I also did AI, reinforcement learning, imitation learning, and everything. There was a course on Coursera of machine learning by Stanford. I did it halfway. I got bored completely. But I literally explored my first 2 years. I was not studying whatever the college was teaching me. I was doing online courses and mining Bitcoin at the same time. By third year, I mined 14.5 Bitcoins that time, $300. I had an alien with. By third and the fourth year, I actually was just focused on doing courses related to game development. So if you see CalArts course or you will see Michigan State course, they literally end during my graduation, because for the last 2 years, I was just focused on game development, Udemy, Coursera, and everything, and just trying to build a portfolio of understanding what does it really take, doing internships. So as a person, I was not focused in college, but very focused towards my career building goal. That is a differentiator. I was a 5-pointer in my college, 5 out of 10, but I literally did everything to do in order to be a very good game developer in general.
Got it. So, college education is shit. That probably a lot of people take a lot of time to understand that.
Yeah.
And I think you understood it in your first year itself.
I won't learn anything from college. What if I'm doing game development? I don't know. For some people, it will definitely be super useful, but for most of us, it becomes very difficult because we never go for college to learn. We just go for college because everybody tells us to go.
Yeah. Right, and it's more of a place where you can hang out and learn other stuff.
I'm not commenting on this, Piyush.
Got it. So, yeah. So you know what? I'll come to the Bitcoin part next. I did not know that. Plus, even the research that I tried to do while going through your LinkedIn profile and all the 34 licenses that you have on there.
Yeah.
This part, like, obviously would not be mentioned there. So I'll come back to it later. But one thing I noticed is that you had that knack of self-learning, and already, and you found out that I'll have to do that myself. Like, it's not possible to college se ho payega kuch.
So my knack of self-learning I was extremely curious, because us time pe I just wanted to do something. I didn't want to sit in my room and just sit there and do absolutely nothing. So doing Coursera, us time pe Coursera was literally giving free financial aid. You just apply for financial aid, press the button, it's like instantly done. So basically, I saw that and I was like, damn, this is so good. I'm getting good quality certificates. I don't have to only show my Indian college certificate, which nobody will, half of the people won't know. And then Bitcoin mining was it was not even hype. But the people who have seen how Bitcoin used to go, it was like this, then one jump, then it was like this, then one jump. And now when I actually joined Bitcoin, it was around 300 and it was there only. And there was a good enough hash rate, but I had an Alienware. I had to literally open my Alienware completely because it was heating up so much, and just keep it on in my room. It was a laptop. And but I was super creative, super curious to do all these new things. It was not just game development. I just didn't know what the hell to do and why I'm wasting my time just going to classes. I couldn't wake up ever on time in classes. This was one of my biggest teachers' concern. So one good advantage I had, just an advantage of college, there was no compulsory attendance. They just used to reduce 5 marks out of 100. And I was like, I don't care. If I don't have to go classes, it's perfect. My attendance was anything in single digits, 7% attendance out of 100 and all that. So all that time, I was not just fooling around having fun. I was actually doing courses online and learning stuff, or trying to do something on my own entirely.
Got it. So which year was this when you mentioned?
2012. 2012 to 2016. Yes.
And
yes, 2012.
Specifically, Bitcoin mining part was?
2012 to 2016, on and off.
Okay.
On and off. 14 Bitcoins means I have to spend a lot of time in it if I'm just mining. I actually did cloud mining and got scammed. So that is the point I stopped.
Oh, got it. Got it. And like us time pe, the people around you, like what was their perspective of you? Like, Because
my
college
teachers
only has.
hated me because I was doing all this nonsense. Everybody thought I'm wasting my time and energy. Until the Bitcoin went up, everybody started calling, what happened to your Bitcoins and everything. But before
Right.
that, nobody was understanding. I actually made a business plan in which me and 4 of my friends will start Bitcoin mining in college, because we didn't have to pay for electricity. All of us was use our PCs and then buy ant miners and other Bitcoin mining machines. And we don't have to pay for electricity. The only cost of Bitcoin is hardware and electricity.
Right. And electricity.
If you remove electricity, it's like a super profitable business. I was
Right.
like, we'll just abuse our college system and just run on it. But nobody actually pitched in. Everybody thought it was a crazy idea. But if I had the money to buy the ant miner, it would have been very different for me right now. That time.
But yeah, see, hindsight is 50-50. Now, when you look back, it looks very easy. But at that time, like, it was difficult to spot. Like, लोगों के भी messages तब आए होंगे जब आज तक पे आया होगा कि Bitcoin exists, right? And,
yes.
yeah, makes sense. So cool. After coming out of all these courses and all, you mentioned that you were part of this Entrepreneur First Accelerator program as well. So how was this? And then your transition? No, I think it was at same time when you were also.
Yeah, I'll just explain you. So for the first 3 years, I was an indie developer. I had built 3 games. The first 2 were like building games and learning. The third was what's called Insta game. We had a D30 retention of 8%, which was very well. Like it was a good standard for the industry. That and a few other stats I projected to Entrepreneur First as me as a solo indie game developer. And that time I got selected into that accelerator. Entrepreneur First was a US-based accelerator, which had multiple branches, and it was selecting top 50 people across industry. So I was the only game developer. Then they had scientists, physicists, business people, and they had clubbed all these 50 people to work together. And it was a very good experience. I had built a company called Pakka Profile there. I worked there for 8 months to 1 year. And after that, I really had a knack for hardcore game development. I was like, I'm not into it. It's fun and all, but this is not my thing at the same time. It's so what we were doing was we were doing blue collar psychometric profiling for all these workers like Swiggy, Ola, Uber, Dunzo. So any blue collar worker, because the problem in India is linguistics. Everybody has too many languages. Nobody can read or write properly. Using a phone is actually pretty hard for people who don't know English. So we try to create gamified tests in which you can play a game and we can do a complete psychometric profiling of the person. Super interesting concept, but not my thing. And then I switched out of the company, exited the company with my shares, and then started Gamestacy, got investments from people I had networked through Pakka Profile and before, and then build a company rather than building an indie studio. Because my experience at Pakka Profile taught me that building a company is pretty easy if you have the right people, the right network, and if you know the basics. Entrepreneur First taught me those basics. Ergo, I could start a proper gaming studio.
Okay, got it. And also there was a stint like at Google's Games Accelerator program. Was this after Gamestacy or before Gamestacy? I think after Gamestacy. Right?
So this is during Gamestacy because accelerators are a part of the company. For example, Entrepreneur First accelerator was as an individual, and in the process we created a company called Pakka Profile. But during the time in Gamestacy, we had built a game called Influencer, which got selected by Google in their acceleration program.
Got it. Okay, understood. So now coming to Gamestacy, you mentioned how it started, the inception of it. So then, do you have co-founders there, or you were a solo entrepreneur? How was it?
So initially, I didn't have co-founders. I had already incorporated the company. I would have loved to have a co-founder at the start, but this was a completely solo-founded company. First 3 years, complete solo indie development. When I came back, it was very hard to get a co-founder. I had already got some investors. I tried for a few co-founders who had established studios. We were on the verge of co-founding, but it didn't completely happen.
Okay, got it. And then how was the journey like in past 6 years? How has it been? And how it started? What kind of games you wanted to build from starting, and now how are you doing it there?
So I actually wanted to build games open-endedly. For example, there was a game called Zigzag by catch-up games, very successful, 50 million downloads. I thought of creating a mid-core version of it. My old process was just to look at mechanics and build games. Then my new process in Gamestacy became, we will focus on one niche, which is growing, which is actually fashion and lifestyle games for women gamers, and just build on top of that niche, not try to iterate everywhere in parallel. It's like I am now playing hard rock music. I don't want to switch. I don't want to play jazz or pop. I just want to be very good at hard rock. So this is the focus for us. And we have built a game which was a merger of social media as well as gaming, mobile gaming, like casual lightweight gaming. That was Influencer. It was a social media simulation game. And around that linearly, we have been iterating. That genre and turn-based strategy genre. That is the two areas in which we focus on. Apart from that, we don't focus on every other genre. The things that have changed is we have become very focused over the time we started off as a big team. Then what we learned quickly is that having a lean and focused team is much better than having a large ass team at the early stages. And trying to do multiple things at once, we are focused on just focusing on 2 or 3 things quarterly or annually to do.
Got it. Interesting. And how big is the team right now?
So we have actually moved from 24 approximately to freelancers being 22, like freelancers and full-time being 22, but just having 12 people full-time. So that all of us
sitting in house. Okay.
Yes. So what we have done is we have given higher level of responsibility to each of our full-time and much more lightweight responsibility to people who are freelancing with us. So understanding who is working very dedicatedly versus who requires free time, we have restructured the company completely.
Got it. Okay. And from what you mentioned that earlier you did not have co-founders. Right now, do you have one, or are you still leading all of it alone?
Right now we have got an amount of ESOP, so I think I have moved out of the co-founder state. The only co-founder I'll have in the future is somebody in the marketing domain. Wow. In the future.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Got it. Understood. Yeah. Cool. So one generic question that I generally ask to all the founders, that now since you have had experience in the industry for almost a decade, you have seen how it shaped up for past couple of years, and now you also understand what the scenario is. Yes. If there's someone in a tier 2, tier 3 city in India, sitting and who's wondering if they can build a career in games, what would be a solid message that would come out from you for them?
I would, if he's just thinking about building being a game developer or trying to build a game, then he should just explore right now. I would never ask him to jump into an internship. Just try to watch some YouTube videos and build games in Unity and Unreal. If you actually enjoyed building Unity and Unreal, then choose one engine. Then build more games in Unity and Unreal and fix on one engine. And once you do that, then only apply for jobs. Okay, these are good Unreal companies or these are good Unity companies. Even at the same pace, I would suggest them to try to learn how this new ChatGPT AI is working, what are the job perspectives, because just limiting to gaming just because you played a lot of PUBG doesn't make any sense for me. I would recommend them to look about ML, AI, data science. At the same time, just trying to explore and see if these are area of interest. Why? Because even as a gaming, even working in a gaming company, these are extremely important aspects. Nobody is going to cut out AI. You always need to create bots, or nobody is going to cut out analytics. Being good at one thing specifically, at the same time, not being super choosy that you really want to just be a game developer. You can enter the gaming industry being good at skills which are used in the gaming industry outside of a 2D artist, an animator, a programmer, and a designer.
Got it. Okay. So, I see that you're really calm, and when I ask you a question, you take time to analyze and then answer, right? So,
thank you so much.
Is this something that comes from your practice from Isha Foundation and Art of Living as well?
So nice catch, Payush. But yeah, I have been doing, I did Art of Living for 6 months, but I got hooked on Isha Kriyas, and I've been doing it for the past 8 years. Wow. So regularly for last 4 years, then a little bit irregular for the past 4 years.
Okay, so I'm assuming that you've been to their ashram as well.
Multiple
Since
times.
you're already in Bangalore.
Yeah, multiple times. Bangalore ashram also I visited. In consecrations I had visited. So I actually love that part. So that is one hobby outside gaming, I would say, is yoga and meditation.
Got it. And do you feel that, or do you think that this helps in your professional journey as well?
I never recommend anybody for yoga unless they have found it useful. Because for some people it doesn't work at all. This is what I have realized. For some people it works magically, and for me it worked magically.
Okay, got it. Cool. Cool, Danish. I think I've asked majority of questions that I have in my mind.
Thank you so much.
Plus, your answers are like very spot on, very apt. No AI, so I'm not even able to come up with a lot of questions from here and
it's
there.
Okay, Piyush.
but yeah, I really like the chat. Anything else that you would want to mention in your journey till now that you feel is worth mentioning?
I would say playing a lot of strategy games made me a better manager for sure. I am a hardcore strategy player. Age of Empires, StarCraft, Warcraft, Dota, and less of a shooter. That's it.
Got it. So for a tech guy who's trying to become a good manager, we can recommend this.
Yeah, sure.
Cool, Danish. Again, thank you so much for your time.